Studying church.
Exactly true where. Well, I remember when we had visitors in the district from New Zealand.
Yeah. Said they did
And they
yeah.
lost a day coming here.
So it was like, we had to do our
Then,
COVID
then they gained it going back, so they time traveled twice. This was in the fall and stuff, they came positive. Yeah. So the microphones, we should have better sound right tonight, right now, but.
And they're just like,
We got a sound system down there for the audience. Last time these were.
but there was like a time,
streamed
like,
out.
as long as you reschedule that next time,
So hopefully it's better.
and then they charge us which, you know, the price now in June would be a lot more than so
Yeah.
they were really nice. Really work with us.
Hi, Susie.
Yep. It's right after.
Oh, so I can
Bouncing off the admin places. That's how
Ryan's still with us. So he just dropped him.
freshman this year. Yep, so he's doing strength and conditioning class. Yep. And, he's already taken a math class after he was kind of broken his a little bit, I've been waiting for this for 11 years. It's like, okay, we're going to know what to do here, right? He likes it.
We're in a long time right now on the Uber. And our hotel actually has.
She's
Our hotel has.
Yep, Get a boy and girl, and they're like, all right, she did it right, done.
So I said that there's a couple places, but I don't know, just see what happens, you know, kind of a thing, so.
Yeah, I wish we
I have 7 o'clock.
Okay, it looks like it's 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order.
Jackie, are these microphones?
We don't hear it as much.
Ann?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Stacy? Here. Desa? Here. Brian?
Here.
And I'm here. This meeting has properly been brought to order. Has the meeting properly been noticed?
The meeting has been properly noticed.
Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
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 Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are going to start out this evening with a robotics recognition and demonstration. So the board is going to be going down to the Pewaukee High School cafeteria for this particular part.
It'll be in the foyer area in front of the auditorium.
Okay. Mike, do you have the folder for the certificates?
Sammy, thank you, Sammy.
Hi.
We'll be back shortly.
So I finally.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Do you want me to pull it closer? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
They're all going.
I think we're sharing. Listen one second. Testing, microphone number 1, testing. Testing, microphone number 2, testing. Testing microphone number 3. Testing microphone number 4. Testing microphone number 5. Do you want it closer? He's pretty loud, so I don't think it'll be an issue. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. So this is a shared one, and Larry's louder, but
That's the lowest one.
testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Thank you, Rick.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing last microphone 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
No, I've just been get back in the high range. Some high companies. We're doing screeners tomorrow and Wednesday. Then we're doing Friday evening next week. Wrapped up by 7th of July. Right, so it's secondary to pass.
Not really a different swing. How are they all doing? Wait, what? Yeah, there you I've been trying to get it all there. You gotta know how to serve. I've been there, so. First I'm going to do it.
I didn't know you were gonna be here tonight, otherwise I would have brought it.
Just know that.
It's gonna be my yearbook one, so it's like very serious. I have my
Like seriously. What happened? Who said trying to ask
Oh, sorry. Training ahead.
Yeah. No, that's supposed to be last week.
Okay, Mike, you're next for the introduction of our new custodial operations supervisor.
Yes, so Sean, come on down. So I just want to take this opportunity to introduce Sean Strauss, who's our new custodial supervisor. Sean comes to us from the Whitnall School District. And, Scott Bissett was his predecessor who did a great job, and we're expecting much the same out of Sean. Sean, anything you want to share about your background or coming to the Pewaukee School District?
So first off, I want to say how excited I am to be joining Pewaukee School District and working with everyone. Kind of my background, so I was at Whitnall School District for 3 years. I have my facility manager certification through WASPO during that time, and then prior to that, I was at Racine Unified at the school I graduated from at Horlick High School, and have my pesticide CPO, which is the pool certified pool operator, and my boiler license high pressure for that. So super excited to be joining everyone here, and can't wait to see everyone at the games and events and everything else. So,
Well, welcome. Thanks for being here, Sean. I got a little pirate gear here for you.
Thank you.
Yep. The only rule, Sean, is you have to smile a lot, because if you're gonna smile more than Scott did, you're gonna have to smile all the time.
Right. Get a little sore and everything at the beginning.
Exactly.
So, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sean.
Next, we have our parent-teacher organization and Pewaukee Booster Club end-of-the-year update and presentations. They're going to tell us about all the wonderful things they've done for the school this year.
Yeah, so welcome to Marika Westerman and Melissa Dahl, who are going to present, and friends, who are going to
And other board
present.
members. Hi, guys. I feel bad having my back. Sorry. So I am Melissa Dahl. Oh, thank you. We have Amy here. She is our
Recording secretary.
and Katie.
I'm the marketing communications.
So, anyway, our mission for the PTO is to enhance the overall educational, recreational, and social experience for our children, parents, and staff. So whenever we're making decisions on how the money gets spent or what kind of activities that we want to do, those are really the things that we focus on, making sure we're achieving all those. As far as our board update, we had some changes that went into effect in May. You can see our current positions that we've had for a while on the left, and then we're excited to add 2 new positions for the 21-22 school year. So we added our marketing and communications, which was well overdue. So Katie took over our social media page and our website and all that, getting the information out to parents and more readily available for all of you guys, and being able to communicate that so everyone knows what is going on. And then our campaign coordinator is another one that we added in terms of just taking more time to research different campaigns, handle our monthly campaigns that we have through places like Culver's and Rylu and those type of activities. So what we do, our funding, when we are going about our funding, we're always looking at 3 different levels: the school impact, the classroom impact, and the student impact. So you guys can kind of see up there some of the ways that we try to impact all of those different spaces. In the school, the playgrounds and makerspace have been a huge place where we've devoted a ton of our funds. In the classroom, obviously we've seen the kids take advantage of all the STEM equipment, the laser printers, the 3D printers that have been, I think, an awesome addition to the district. We do teacher grants, so teachers can apply for different things that would benefit them in their classroom, and we love being able to grant those for teachers. And then just different guest appearances, special people to come in the classroom, and different special requests that come up. As far as the student impact, until I became a part of the PTO, I didn't really realize that the PTO handled all this, but they do a ton with providing subsidized and/or free field trips for a lot of the kids in the school, as well as subsidizing Camp Whitcomb and lunch for certain kiddos that may need that, and BizTown, which we all know is a great program at Horizon. So, wow, this is far away with little writing. All right, so our program enhancements. For those of you who have really good eyesight, you can read up there. But every single year, our liaisons sit down with the principals at each level at PLE, Horizon, and ASA and talk to them about what kind of enhancements that we can help them provide for the following school year. So this year, a big one for PLE that Brian advocated for was the math kits for each child, especially in the era of COVID. These take-home math kits provided resources for the kiddos to have at home and still be doing hands-on math, even in a virtual environment. So that was a grant that we were able to do for PLE this year. Some of that other money goes to things like Makerspace and the playground at PLE. As far as Horizon, like we talked about before, the budget there is a little bigger because Camp Whitcomb and BizTown take up a large chunk of that. So those are the major things at Horizon. And then ASA, a lot of it goes to their end of the year activities that they do as far as graduation and promotion and all of that. Teacher appreciation was a small little token this year that we hope that everyone appreciated, and you guys at district office, just trying to show our teacher and our staff how much we appreciate them. As far as the funding that we brought in this year, our spring fundraiser, Raise Craze, which was all focusing on spreading kindness, was our big one, bringing in right around 60 grand. So we're excited to be able to use that money to benefit the school next year. We also had some profits from Breakfast with Santa, different donations from private members, Culver's Night, Spirit Nights, Box Tops, and Amazon Smile, which is really stepping its game up this year. So thank you for all of you who have selected the PTO. We appreciate those and love to see what Prime Day did for that boost in the next quarter. So as far as our year in review, as we talked about, our primary focus this year was our spring fundraiser. Typically, we work on a fall fundraiser, but due to COVID, we kind of pushed that back to spring this year. The fundraiser was all about spreading kindness, not only individually and as a school, but all through the community. So we're proud to report that our students completed more than 4,000 acts of kindness that were logged, which is awesome to see. It was awesome to hear about. The kids came home excited about it. We had a ton of community partnerships, which was another real primary focus this year. Katie, do you want to talk about?
Community actually come together, and the businesses got involved so quickly and grasped it so excitedly because they were able to give back too. And it was a rough year, so it gave everyone the opportunity to kind of reconnect again. So as we look forward in the fall, we're looking to potentially do it again and making it even larger this time with a little bit more time to plan.
And for all of you guys who are joining us tonight and the board, we're always looking for further community partnerships that we can work together. So if you are part of a place or have some suggestions, we'd love to hear those. And then in addition, our ongoing efforts, obviously Culver's huge supporter. We love them. They are awesome to us and provide us so much. We were able to do some stuff with some downtown Pewaukee businesses like Rylu and Twisted Vine. We relaunched a brand new website, which Katie and some partners at the high school were able to help us do, piratespto.com. So I suggest you check it out. It's pretty awesome. We are switching next year to all digital payments, which will be amazing for all of our events. So we are not handling funds coming from all different directions. We are attempting to expand our social media outreach. So if you have not liked our Facebook page, I encourage you to do so. And then as far as our strategic planning, we are in July coming together to just reflect on our current mission, try to define a vision statement going forward, in addition with standardizing some of our procedures as we go. So coming next year, we already have our ice cream social confirmed. So that will be September 1st from 4:30 to 6:30 on the PLE playground. We're excited to be able to do it again in person and see all the new families and current families. If you look right below that, that's a screenshot from our website. So there is a volunteer application right online now. If you're interested in helping out, we would love to see some faces up there joining us. And then some activities that we're hoping to do next year would be the fall fundraiser Katie mentioned, and then Culver's Night discount tickets, our directories, pancakes with Santa, hoops night, and bring back the teacher grants. So that is all we have for you guys tonight. I put my contact email on the bottom, pewaukeepto@gmail.com. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Don't remember that. You can always go to our website, and all of our contact emails are on there now.
So I just want to thank you guys for, just the amazing leader. I know a lot of time and energy goes into everything that you've done, and that you are so successful at raising funds. We've got a very supportive community, and the leadership and the organization that you guys bring to it is why it's so successful. And it's been a tremendous support, those maker spaces and that equipment that we were able to bring in this year to activate so many of our new spaces has a ton to do with the support from the PTO. So thank you so much. All right, and Booster Club.
That's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. I'm Marika. This is my first year as president, and this is Laura, our treasurer. So just jumping right into fundraising. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have our fundraiser for this past year due to COVID, but we do have one set for this year, and we're pretty excited. We're going to put those funds towards a new weight room, so some new equipment, kind of had a theme in mind, building a stronger tomorrow. Here are some of our other fundraising things we did this year. We were able to safely have 3 spiritware sales. We had a pretty good membership turnout, I would say. I mean, everything was kind of, quite a bit down from last year, but we were just happy that we were able to still bring in some funds, and then, a few of those other items there. Some of our bigger grants that we were able to give out this year, the Huddle subscription, and I would say that this really was very valuable this year for, all the people live streaming. In fact, even my in-laws were like, I think I only want to watch live streaming now just because it's so convenient. And then we also were able to put a new sound system into the weight room, which was great. That, really benefits a lot of people. We recently just approved covering half of the soundboard and stage box for the auditorium, which is very widely used even by other programs and other schools as well. And then those are just a few additional items there. Yeah, no one's going to be able to read that, but those are total grants. And then we were also able to give out 4 $750 scholarships this year. We had a really great turnout for applicants, more than 25 applicants this year, so that was really good. And we're pleased to be able to give out those 4 scholarships once again. This was really exciting to see come together. I think this has been a very long time in the making, just bringing together this partnership with the business department and launching the online spiritware store. It's just such an impressive thing that they have going. The students run all the inventory. They were able to get all of our merchandise online. And it's a real live, store where you purchase it online, you go pick it up. And since it's been live, we've raised more than $7,000 just through that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's been great. Seniors, once again, we gave a free yard sign to anyone who wanted them, and we had 190 signs that we gave out this year. And then we raised $1,160 through the grad grams, and the admin was kind enough to buy one for every senior, which was just awesome because then everybody got one. Again, no one can read this, but despite COVID, we were able to essentially fulfill all of our grant requests, which was a great feeling. We brought in around $37,000 and gave out $37,000. So basically, everything we brought in, we basically gave back to the school. And then just in terms of our cash position, we were really right where we were last year because we were really good at managing our expenses. And I think just given that everything was a little bit, tuned down this year, we didn't get the grant requests that we've had in the past, but we're just very fortunate that we were able to grant the ones that came in. And that's all I have for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So I would say the same thing, Marika and Laura, for, Booster Club, super supportive, and just the equipment we're able to get, and the perks that we're able to provide for student athletes, and just the things that maybe we wouldn't otherwise be able to provide thanks to the fundraising and the support of the Booster Club. It's just great to hear from two parent organizations that have such an impact. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your work. Steve?
I would just like to say to the leadership of both organizations, there's a lot in our society in the last year that's been trying to drive people apart, and I really appreciate the work you do to bring people together. So thank you for bringing people who all care about the kids and the activities and the students and the teachers and everything that has to do with Pewaukee High School and middle school, elementary school, bringing all that together and creating some sense of shared values and shared culture amongst those individuals, and along with our community members and some of those activities you brought them into. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? Could you put up the slide with the citizen comment, the information about citizen comment? Thank you. Do you want to move us to?
We will now move to the comments from citizens, but before I start taking the comment cards, Mike is going to do his little introduction.
So comments from citizens is the next portion of the agenda. If you want to speak, you're required to please submit a comment card with your name and address. Only Pewaukee School District citizens may comment. We ask each speaker to limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. There's a timer that will be on the screen to help you monitor your time, because we certainly want you to be able to do that. We don't want to interrupt you. If you go over your time, we will ask you to please conclude your comments and ask you to do so in the next 5 to 10 seconds, and then we will call the next speaker. The board certainly wants to hear what each speaker has to say. We ask audience to please be respectful so that we can hear each speaker, and that they have that respect whether or not you agree with the statement that they're making. Please understand that comments are only accepted during citizen comment portion of the agenda. The board will not take questions or comments during other portions of the agenda. And so if any slips are submitted by people who are not residents, and I don't know if we have any, then we just simply would not call those folks, but I assume everyone we have is probably a resident. And with that, Jeannie will call the speakers as she has them.
Okay, I'm going to start with Dan Ross, and then behind Dan we'll go with Stan Sokolowski.
Hi, my name is Dan Ross, N38W26930 Glacier Road. I just wanted to voice my opposition to the board regarding the renewal of the TCI contract. Between the last meeting that we had and tonight, TCI has changed the content that's on their website, and whereas 2 weeks ago, things like Black Lives Matter content was plastered all over their website, and as of tonight, not a single bit of that can be found. Something doesn't pass the smell test with this organization. I stopped believing in coincidences when information becomes politicized, and something like this just isn't something that seems like they're being very upfront with us. So I would urge you guys to take my thoughts into consideration and not approve the contract renewal for TCI. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Stan, and then after Stan, we have Julia Westfall.
Good evening, and thank you, everybody. I would like to first thank the boards and everyone for your openness for the last 2 weeks. I know it's been really contentious, but the idea for having the opportunity to have meetings with Danielle and with Mr. Caddy, I think it's been really good. And I know that the information is kind of changing ever so quickly on websites and everything else, where, Black Lives Matter is out there, then it's not there anymore. I do know there's a number of parents in this room who have sat down with a number of you people in this room and really dived into the information that's there. And I really appreciate you being open and be able to listen to us and take that into consideration. You can tell we're very concerned, and we want to make sure that we're going down the right path for our kids. While I can be a reasonable parent and accept what we're going to do with this social studies curriculum, I do have a concern. It's that part of that curriculum that's not being talked about right now. The TCI with the 2016, I understand that. I think a lot of the parents behind us, we understand that. It's that opportunity for them to kind of stretch and the teachers kind of go off their reservation and do their own thing. And I know we had a conversation this past week where I'm not really sure where it came into consideration, but globalgoals.org being one of the criteria or kind of something that was used in the classroom between 2 different classes. And it was a month worth of instruction. And I can honestly tell you, there's 17 goals for the global organization, and somehow we got really fixated on one of them. And it was really uncomfortable for a number of students. And the students, unfortunately, got pulled into the sidebar outside the classroom to have this addressed in person. That's the stuff we're talking about. That's what makes us as parents really uncomfortable and wonder what's going on. We want to believe in you folks. We understand you might not think that CRT or anything variation is coming through the school district, but the reality is, when we hear things like this, it kind of makes us question. So it's not even the TCI curriculum we're even talking about. We're talking about stuff we've actually experienced here with our own students, okay? There is a constant that I feel, and I've voiced this last time I was up here. I really want to get away from box checking. I'm not a big fan of box checking. Let's find out where we're common. Where are the things that we are similar, and really focus in on that. The bottom line is we're all Pewaukee Pirates. Yes, we all have differences in where we come from and where we stand in society, but at the end of the day, we are all Pewaukee Pirates. And I really hope that we can find a way going through this curriculum and going into next year. My biggest thing is, let's find out where we're similar. Be inclusive for all students. One of the things that I found out with one of my own students, my daughter, she was a minority person for her viewpoint in class, in her own house. That made her be quiet. She didn't speak up because she had a different viewpoint. We are sitting here with the DEI board and committee and talking about things like that, and we want to make sure we're inclusionary of all those people, and I appreciate that. Where my background comes from, I understand that. The gay, lesbian, bisexual community, different racial backgrounds, I understand that. It's all important stuff. But I'd also argue that our people in this society, in our own community, we're kind of a half and half. Conservative, democratic viewpoints, and I really think that we should be educating both sides of the aisle and not focusing on one.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
I know your time is up, but I missed, it was global, what was that?
Globalgoals.org.
Globalgoals.org?
Correct.
Okay, and that was taught in the classroom?
It was between 2 teachers who used the curriculum as a bridge between 2 different subjects. And again, we kind of US versus United Nations. It was global. It was 17 goals. Every part of the curriculum as they went through, they did videos on each one of the individual curriculum or goals that were part of that equation. And somehow in this equation, we got fixated on gender equality or equity or whatever it was, and it really made it for an uncomfortable situation for students.
Okay, thank you for explaining that to me.
Thank you, Stan.
After Julia, we have Donna Tegum.
Good evening, Board of Education members. My name is Julia Westfall. I am a parent of 2 children, both here at Pewaukee High School. They have been here since 4K. I have had numerous teachers. I know many of you and have seen many of you throughout the community. Numerous teachers never have had an issue with the teacher. I am a frequent flyer at the board, and I have always found you to be curious, kind, and very supportive of the students. I felt the need to speak up and share that with you because I think that you've been under fire lately, and I wanted to make sure you understood that you truly do have supporters in this community. The thing that I want to speak to you about specifically is, at this point, there was a petition that was circulated over a year ago requesting for equity, inclusion, and diversity, and the respect for the children in that situation. One of the things that the alumni who started that asked for was they specifically asked if there would be a strong stand taken against hate speech. Right now, our students are under hate speech, and they're under fire constantly in their schools. And this has been a problem, and it continues to be a problem. Our alumni have spoken up about it, and our existing students have spoken up about this. We have kids sitting in this audience right now who were called sand N-words. We have people who have been just called the N-word, people who've been called F-words because of their sexuality or their perceived sexuality. And we also have kids sitting out here right now in this room who have experienced and been made fun of for their cognitive delays. This is not okay. This is 2021. You open the door for every child's future. There's been a loud minority that has taken a lot of time from you, and you have been working through their issues with curriculum and things like that. Now a lot of us are coming forward and saying, please listen to our children. A school board is not a partisan role. A school board is here for children. And our children asked over a year ago for strong wording in the handbook and in the athlete code of conduct for hate speech. And I think that that's only fair, that our kids should also have the same consideration that has been given to the kids here. We appreciate you. We love our amazing teachers. Many of us have reached out to you and talked to you and have asked you over and over again to just please consider our opinion and respect our kids. And thank you. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Julia.
After Donna, we have Crystal S.
Well, good evening, Dr. Katie.
Excuse me, Donna. I don't want to interrupt you.
I've got to get the microphone.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
I just
sorry.
want to make sure we capture everything you have to say.
Thank you. Good evening. School board members and the parents and grandparents in the audience, concerned citizens. My name is Donna Teagham, North 26, West 26285, Quail Hollow Road, Pewaukee. My husband and I are 14-year residents of this community, taxpayers, and strong supporters of the school system. Its athletic programs, and we're Booster Club members, and we voted for the large construction expansion. It has been about a year now since I addressed you with concerns of your COVID rules concerning spectators at athletic outdoor events, mainly soccer and football games. 2 tickets at the beginning were given to each player. And so mom and dad could go, but no siblings, grandparents, or other relatives were allowed because our names were not on the list. If you bucked the system and sat yards and yards away from anyone in your lawn chairs or peering over the fence with your mask on, you were asked to leave school property, or they would call the police to come and give you a trespassing ticket. Sad, disappointing, but we were told over and over again you were following the science. Tonight, I want to address the science, but in another direction that is deep concern to us. First, I want to give you a quick history lesson because I'm old and I lived it. As a girl in high school, I loved sports and I loved competition. What we had was GAA, Girls Athletic Association. After school, if we were interested in competing, we would meet in the gym and we would play sports against one another. In college, in some Phi-Ed courses that I took, we played basketball. There were 6 girls on a team, 3 forwards and 3 guards. The guards would get a rebound and they would run to the middle of the gym floor. They'd pass the ball to the forwards and they were the only ones that could score. Seems strange, but then they thought that girls couldn't run the length of the basketball court. I then married and I had a daughter. She loved athletics also. And she played on a youth basketball, school-sponsored boys team because there were no girls' youth basketball teams at that time. And then a miracle occurred, Title 19. This opened the door for girls to be able to compete with other teams, school sports teams. It allowed scholarships to enter their lives so they could play college athletics.
Donna, I don't want to interrupt, but I do need you to conclude your time's up.
Golly, okay.
Thank you.
Well, now today, this is my concern because I want you, all of you, to follow the science. There is a threat coming to have boys who think they are girls by feelings participate in girls' athletics. I tell you right now, it will ruin athletics for girls. Their records, local, state, national, even Olympic records will be broken. And out east, there were 2 high school girls that had state records in track and field, and 2 boys came as girls. They thought they were girls, and they lost those scholarships because those boys beat their records.
Okay, thank you, Donna. I do need you to.
I'll come next month.
Okay. We'll see you next month. Thank you.
After Krista, we have Christopher Trottier.
Good evening. My name is Crystal, and I'd like to start by thanking every one of you on the school board for everything you did this past year to keep everyone safe and keep the school open. I'm so sorry that the pandemic was politicized and you've all been harassed and threatened for doing what is already, in a good year, a very thankless job. I appreciate everything you do so much, and that I know that you have the kids' best interests and everybody's safety in mind with every decision you make. So I'm here to talk about this curriculum issue. This is not something I would normally do or that I am comfortable with, but I heard what has been happening and feel this needs to be done. And 3 minutes is not enough time to debunk all these false, baseless conspiracy theories that have been thrown around at the last few meetings regarding this. So I came here tonight just to represent the majority of people that trust the experts and show you that the extremists are very much in the minority. They're just loud. And most don't have young kids, so they have the time to be here. I don't have time for this. Right now, I'm missing putting my kids to bed. I don't want to be here. I'm not on social media because it's toxic and full of narcissism and hatred. Normally, I would just trust that the educated, experienced, unbiased experts that you've hired to create this curriculum have done the research and do what's best for our kids. But unfortunately, some uneducated people with too much time on their hands, most without young kids that will even be affected by this, are trying to intimidate and threaten you into not trusting the experts. We moved to Pewaukee because of the amazing school district. We've been here for 3 years and have had very few complaints. The only thing the school is lacking is diversity. And growing up without diversity is exactly what causes many people to have such hateful beliefs. I know, I grew up in small town Wisconsin. but I joined the military. I went to war, and I fought alongside all kinds of different people. Kids who grow up in a diverse school will naturally be exposed to those who are different from them and are far less likely to turn into bigoted adults. But we will never be able to improve diversity at this school if these extremists get their way. Imagine a person of color or somebody in the LGBTQ community watching this meeting on the news. Do you think they'll feel like Pewaukee is a safe and welcoming environment to send their kids to, or for them to come teach at? We also need diverse teachers, and we'll be lucky to get enough teachers at all if they're constantly receiving threats and fearing for their jobs. So I'm asking you to trust the experts, listen to the majority, and the parents of school-age kids. I'm asking you to follow the PLE philosophy. Be here, be you, belong. Children of all races, colors, religions, nationalities, orientations, and identities should be able to be here, be themselves, and feel like they belong. To put it very simply, these people are bullies. So I know it's hard, but I'm asking you to set an example for our children and stand up to the bullies. Let's be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
After Chris, I have Linda Reese.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Trottier. I'm big fan, Dr. Katie, school board. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do. I'm very invested in Pewaukee education. My dad was the principal here from 1975 through 1990. So I've been along from the days of Gene Stimpert and George Goins into Joanne and now Dr. Katie. The school has gone from a very small, rickety old building that you might remember that was where the library is now. It was creepy. I spent a lot of time there, but even though I went to school in Brookfield, graduated from Brookfield East, Pewaukee was always kind of a special place. My wife and I moved here 14 and a half years ago because we wanted our kids to go through the system. When my daughter, right now my son is going to be a junior, my daughter is going to be in 8th grade. When my daughter started at PLE, she was put in an inclusion classroom. And my first thought was, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But it turned out to be a very amazing experience. She was 5 out of her 6 years at PLE, she was in inclusion. I did a lot of volunteer work. I was in her 5K class. A behaviorally challenged boy started just disturbing everything. Mrs. Cat, who I believe is retired now, handled everything, and the kids didn't flinch, the kids understood. It was beautiful. Later, I volunteered on the field trip to Madison. This was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I was in the back of the bus. A young boy was in front of me, and he was sitting with a girl who had Down syndrome. The back seat was a handicap reserve seat. Another boy was going to the handicap reserve seat, and someone said, "Don't go there, that's for handicapped people." And the boy in front, who was with the Down syndrome girl, said, "There's no handicapped kids here, what are you talking about? It's fine." I thought that was amazing, because the kids are that open and that accepting of everybody that's so different that they didn't even think of her as anything different than what she is. And that it really sold me on what is going on in the grade schools, junior high, high school. You guys know what you're doing. I really, truly trust trust what you're doing. Just wanted to say that you've seen us through the noise and the innuendos, threat and distraction, and you're continuing to put our kids first. And thank you for what you do. Please do what you feel is right. Please continue leading with integrity and honesty and our kids' best interest, because it's very appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Rice. I have 2 kids in the district, as you all well know by now. I almost didn't come tonight. To be honest, I'm not thrilled to be involved in another controversy, but then I realized that you, the school board, probably aren't either. If I want you to stay, and I do, then I need to be willing to stand with you. I'm here tonight to voice support for the work you do. We have an award-winning school district and just finished a successful school year, despite the many obstacles. We don't need more controversy here. I've looked through the curriculum. I did a Google search for all of the buzzwords that have been floating around, and none of them are present in the social studies curriculum as outlined on the website. It's time to move on. Equity is not a dirty word, and we can't let it become one. Equity means each student getting what they need to succeed. A child with dyslexia gets extra time to complete their test. A child who's hungry gets lunch at school. Equity ultimately means opening the door to each child's future, which is our district mission statement. But in order to achieve equity, we also need to make sure that each student feels safe and supported. I'm alarmed by the amount of bullying behavior that's occurring, both at school and surrounding the school board. It's time for it to stop, and I encourage the school board to enact policies that make it clear that hate speech and bullying will not be tolerated in any form within our district. Pewaukee is a community that values kindness, and we must continue to emphasize the importance of kindness and respect, even in the midst of the polarization that surrounds us. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
We have the last one from Suzanne Molina.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Molina, 1023 Oak Circle, Pewaukee. I have a daughter who is a senior, and in her class, it was either English or social studies, had to write about 3 issues, and they were civil rights issues. She felt extremely uncomfortable. The woman who was up here before, who talked about us being uneducated, I resent that. I don't call anybody uneducated. I am not a divisive person. And what she didn't understand is my child felt horrible in that class. She was crying. She did not want to do the assignment at all. She didn't want to talk about Black Lives Matter. She didn't want to talk about George Floyd. She did not want to share her feelings. And she has every right not to share her feelings. I told her to talk about civil rights, about voting rights, how my parents immigrated from Germany, and they worked hard to get citizenship, and how that is stolen because everybody is just being allowed to come here. But she did not want to, she doesn't want to talk about those things. And I don't think that anybody should be forced to. And I just don't like, I'm absolutely incensed by that woman who is up here just now calling us uneducated. Nobody's uneducated. Nobody's bullying. If you care about every single child, you have to include every child. And not everybody believes the same thing. We have different traditions, we have different values, but keep the divisiveness out of the schools, and the parents need to stop it also.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was the last one, Jean?
Yes, that was the last one. We are now going to move on to a public hearing waiver as required underneath the state Wisconsin statutes 118.38, Paren 1, Paren B. This is a waiver for state standards regarding physical education.
Yeah, let me provide a little background to the board and everybody. So the flexibility waiver, an application for flexibility was provided by DPI early in the year in anticipation that with COVID-19 and different schedules and mitigation, that some things that are typically required may need a waiver. For example, last year when we had to shut down, with emergency shutdown, almost everybody had to submit a waiver for instructional hours. We're happy that we did not have to submit any waiver for instructional hours, but there is a specific requirement for grades 6 through 8 regarding physical education, that students have physical education 1 time per week. One of our strategies with mitigating for COVID was cohorting. And so the high school and the middle school, this doesn't apply to the high school, but they both have an A-B block schedule. So those schools ran first quarter with their A schedule only, and second quarter with their B schedule only because in essence that eliminated 50% of the cross-contact of students. So in that first semester with that schedule, we were unable to deliver physical education one time per week. So this is really just a process that this is extended by DPI, but it still requires us to have this opportunity. So to submit this waiver, it does allow for public comment if there's any questions or comment. The comments or questions would only be on this specific issue regarding the physical education waiver. So we could invite any community member who might have comment on the physical education waiver before the board would take action.
Does anyone have any comments on it? It's basically a formality, I think, just so we can get the waiver. In that case, I seek a motion to have the waiver of state standard.
I move to approve the school board resolution for the waiver of certain school board or school district requirements pursuant to Wisconsin statute 118.38 and 1M. Is that read right?
I think you would want to read the rest of it, Stacy. So
Oh, that's all I have in my recommended action. What am I missing?
It's on the.
Oh, on here. Sorry, I'm reading it. Oh, it got cut off. And Wisconsin statute 121.02 and Wisconsin admin code section PI 8 standard J.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next, we have salutes and recognitions. Does anyone on the board have any salutes or recognitions? Steve?
I would like to salute Danielle Bosonic for giving so much of her time in these last 2 weeks to entertain members of the board, members of the community who wish to learn more about the proposed social studies curriculum.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Are there any other salutes?
The robotics, the 1259 robotics.
Oh.
Thank you to them and congratulations to them for the success that they had this year in terms of their work. So, and it's great that they do the presentation for the board. We really learn a lot, and I had a moment to chat with one of the students who's graduating, and I don't know if he's here or not, but he's receiving a full scholarship at Pewaukee School of Engineering as a result of his participation in the robotics program.
That's awesome.
So that's an awesome, awesome, awesome thing, and there's a lot of parent volunteers that spend their time with it. 28 students are involved in the program, and I think he was instrumental in trying to incorporate the first program throughout the entire school district.
Yeah, younger grade levels.
A real strong leadership on the part of a student who has a great deal of success and hopefully a lot of things looking forward as he goes on to college. So.
Thank you, Larry. Mike?
I check with Danielle or John. You have any first before I go? Okay. I would like to salute Jackie, who's been working with Ray and Rachel Yerk for the work that they've done to try to improve the environment. We have I hope everybody can hear better tonight. So we've tried to work on the audio so that we have speakers so that, because we heard that it was difficult to hear last time. And the live streaming and all this, because we really want these meetings to be accessible. It's great that we have a community that's very interested in what's happening, and so we want to make sure that happens. And Jackie and Rachel, along with some help from James Sevens and some others, have really worked hard to try to put all this technology together to make it happen. So I'd like to recognize them.
Thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda. We have the minutes from the previous meetings, correspondence, gifts, and policies 6500.12, 7100.01, 7300.02, and 7200.02 for their last reading. Do I seek a motion to accept that?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Consent agenda is passed. The next one is old business. That's our consideration and possible approval of the social studies curriculum. Danielle, would you like to start us off with an update?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity over the last 2 weeks to meet with each board member as well as members of the community that requested a meeting. We were able to honor all of those. So I appreciate the questions, conversations, the review of the materials and resources that were brought forward by both board members and community members. And I have not received any additional questions or comments from board members since I met with you, but would welcome any questions the board may have now or any other comments that you may have.
So Danielle, when you met with the folks, was there any kind of common themes? And then when they left the meeting, again, were there any common themes after they had a chance to review the curriculum and look at the materials that you provided them with?
Yeah, I would say generally each community member did bring a different set of questions based on their experience in the school district. Generally, TCI was the resource that most wanted to review, and we were able to show them the resource, as all of you saw as well, and answer any questions that they had. And I felt like the meetings were positive, that we were able to clear up a lot of questions that they had. And I felt like we were also able to establish open lines of communication for future conversations if community members have those. And that generally speaking, I felt like both parties left satisfied that we were able to have a productive conversation. And, we always appreciate the ability to do that with our community members. So thank you for those of you that are here tonight that I met with.
Thank you, Danielle. In the case of transparency, I would like to, before we take a vote, kind of go around and have each one of the board members just make sure that there are no questions or concerns. So Larry, you've given yours. Steve, do you have any more questions or concerns?
Larry, did you have something else?
Yeah, I had one more question for Danielle in terms of that. And I think it's one of the things we heard earlier this evening from an individual who talked about the TCI website and the changes in terms of what's out there. When we met last time, you specifically referenced that we are using the TCI information and material as a digital textbook. We are specifically using the 2016 version of that, and that's what the individuals saw, right? I mean, so they saw the content that was there, and that's what we are referencing, that's what we were using in our classroom.
Yes.
And there were no concerns, objections in terms of what was presented and what was part of that. And if there happens to be any changes to that content, how would you adjust or make changes in the curriculum and or the use of that material if for some reason they made modifications to it?
So they can't make modifications to the 2016 edition. Is just like if you were to have, the old hard textbook that we all lugged around and stuff. It is a static resource. And so they can't make changes to that. If at any point down the road there were to be something totally different that happened with TCI, their company, I don't know, we'd be notified and our contract, could be modified, re-reviewed, just like any typical contract would be. But again, they've confirmed that we're using 2016. They've confirmed that they're going to support that for 6 years and it's not going to change.
Thank you. Steve?
So I, like all the other board members, met with Danielle and reviewed the materials on the TCI website, both the student materials as well as the teacher resources that are used in the instruction of the curriculum. I looked at the grade appropriateness of the material. I randomly selected some topics that we looked through and specifically looked for things that might look inappropriate or inaccurate in terms of the historical content. I looked for things that were reflective of the values of the community in which I reside and which we're educating students. And I found that the material was completely absent of any material that I would find objectionable and I would find and think that any resident of our community would find objectionable. There was no racial oppressed language, privileged language, and there's no inappropriate or no reference of authority figures like police or anything in a disparaging kind of way at all. So I'm fully confident that the material that I observed is appropriate for the use in our district. So I want to support that.
Thank you. Anne?
Danielle, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to meet with us. I'm very confident of the curriculum. I didn't find anything objectionable to it. My one concern is that I hope going forward, if there are concerns within the community, that the proper channels are being used. The teacher, the principal, Mike, or you, in the future, because I haven't seen any concrete evidence. I'm not saying nothing's happened, I'm saying we're not aware of it. And that's one of my concerns, and I would like to see that addressed in the future. But thank you.
Stacy?
I agree that I looked at the curriculum, pretty much all 12 years of it. It was really fun.
I know not everybody enjoys it quite as much as I do.
It pretty much took me 2 weeks. And I did not find anything that concerned me in the curriculum. I understand and respect the parents who are concerned that there may be teachers that step outside that curriculum. And as Ann mentioned, then I would hope that the parents would go through the proper channels and bring that to the attention of the people, be it the teacher, the school administrator, the district administrators, or us. I think that we have an outstanding group of teachers on this campus. I get that people can sometimes let their personal viewpoints enter into a position that shouldn't be entering into, but we would need the families to help monitor that. The 7 of us could not ever do that. That's impossible to be in the classrooms. But like I said, I think that we have an outstanding group of teachers on this campus, and I have a great deal of respect for them. I have a great deal of respect for the administrators and the district personnel that run the curriculums. So if the curriculum is in a position where there is nothing objectionable in it, then we have an expectation that teachers will stay within that. I spoke to Mike and Danielle about this, and they indicated that a really positive way to do that is to also include stuff like that, topics like that in their professional development. So we discussed going forward that would be part of the teacher's professional development about, this is our curriculum and this is what we need to stay within the boundaries of. And I respect that and I trust that will happen. Will I never ask a question? Of course not. I will follow up with it. But I have to trust the people that are doing the jobs, that have been doing their jobs so very well for so many years, that will continue to happen. I also agree that I looked at TCI and I found nothing objectionable in the 2016 edition that we are subscribing to. So I am confident that what we are setting forth is a good curriculum, and I am expecting the district to follow it.
Daisha?
Just one question. If there are any changes made and down the road we move away from TCI, everything comes back to the board again, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
So we will, as a board, we will review if anything changes.
Absolutely.
And sat down and looked at the curriculum. I didn't see anything in the 2016/17 edition that I found scary. And I was fortunate enough to be able to look at all the TCI curriculum that was used this year in 5th and 6th grade throughout the entire school year with my children, and I was comfortable with the TCI resource and how it was set up and how the teachers present the information to the students and what they are allowed to see and not see.
Thank you. Brian, do you have a comment?
Well, I don't know that I have much to add to all of those. I do want people to follow the process so they do discover something going in the class. Thank you to Danielle for helping communicate this to board members and to people in the community. And just a thanks to her team. I know working on curriculums is very hard, long process, so thanks to them as well. That's the only comments I have.
I too looked at the curriculum and didn't see anything objectionable. I actually looked at it and went, because I taught 3rd grade for so many years, and went, oh, look, they're still teaching families in 3rd grade. So some of this is just staying so much the same. It's just more interactive and a more fun way for kids to learn about it. But I would like to use this opportunity to really thank the teachers that were on this particular committee, because past experience, I know just how much time and energy and work they put into making sure the curriculum followed the standards first of all, and then finding the appropriate resource. And that didn't just mean looking at TCI, it meant looking at many other companies and books too.
Thank you.
Okay, I will seek a motion then.
Move to approve the social studies curriculum as presented.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oops, opposed. Motion's carried.
Thank you, everyone.
New business, we have our school resource officer here for an update.
Welcome down Officer Chicola, who's going to present our school resource update. We've had several years now, fortunate enough to partner with the Village of Pewaukee Police, who is a great partner for us. Whether it's been Officer Chicola or Officer Budenhagen, it's been a super positive experience. So he's here to talk a little bit about kind of how things went this year.
As stated, Officer Chicola, the Village of Pewaukee. I've been with the village for 5 years, and I was lucky enough to serve the last semester of the school district to fill in for Officer Budenhagen. It was definitely a different experience. One of the biggest takeaways is the difference from my typical road work coming into a school district to just a different pace and how things are done differently. As said, it was my first year up here.
Can we just have you raise the mic?
Just
a
speak
little
into the
bit?
microphone a
Yeah,
little bit.
Okay.
just- You're tall.
It was my first year up here as the first semester. One of the biggest things that we found out that was an issue is parking. Who would have thought parking would have been an issue up here, but that seemed to be a big hot button topic with people on campus and students kind of coming in and out virtually. That was one of the bigger issues. Truancy, because everyone was coming back from online learning, and students thought that it was okay to stay online even though they were supposed to be in person, and that was another headache. Obviously, that's more at the high school level than we saw across any of the other levels. And then kind of the role we play in mental health issues and crises that happen up here, that is kind of from PLE across the board up to the high school even, where little things that I didn't think would be an issue that on the road that I saw here on the school district that was a big issue. Our role kind of is across the board. We are a mediator, a resource gatherer, a social worker, a shoulder to cry on, a counselor at times. Again, these are just a few highlights of kind of what I did as in my role up here. Again, a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. I never expected how many hats I'd wear working up here. I did a lot of relationship building here between staff networking, across all school districts. I did guest speaking in classes. I did the Who Inspires Us with PLE, which was really interesting. The video played, I want to say, for the month of February and March at every little meeting they had of Who Inspires Us, so I got to share who inspired me. I was one of the guests on PHS's The Hook, their little show that they put on. It was actually really kind of funny thing involving donuts, because that was a running joke. So I got to take part of that. I was part of our internet safety kind of team with talking with the parents and students on kind of safe browsing, what apps are okay, and that kind of thing for their students. I was a lot of the one-on-one counselings with students and then student groups. Towards the end of the year, the high school students did a lot of group work, and they were using me as one of their persons they'd ask questions to for their reports. I assisted with the district ALICE training for across the schools, just kind of the refresher course and kind of running the teachers and staff through, the ALICE drill and the ALICE model. And then I organized the boy basketball send-off and return for state, which was one of the coolest experiences, I think, of the entire semester I had up here, being able to send them off to state, and what was the first in 20 years, I think. So that was a really neat experience. What I've learned is that safety issues and concerns are always changing. What I thought was minimal might be something huge for somebody else, and it's constantly changing with kind of the atmosphere and kind of what friend group didn't go along with other friend group. That sometimes communicating with students in crisis is just second to actually being here. Obviously, presence is a big thing, and I can't really hide anywhere, so my presence, being in a room or being in a situation, typically helped out and can get people calmed down pretty quickly. Mental health issues I do see are on the rise. Kind of across the board. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the online learning, if it was the stress of coming from online back, but there was a lot of those kind of right off the bat. The first week, I think I had 2 or 3 just kind of very in-depth situations. Cyberbullying is another big issue. I think as more kids are getting connected with social media, computers and whatnot, it's easy to type out what you want to say behind a keyboard and say face-to-face, so I saw a lot of cyberbullying issues. And then just how technologically savvy kids are. I remember, I was with the generation that grew up with computers and stuff. Kids these days in 3rd grade knew a lot more than what I know how to do on a computer. So it's a big thing I've learned up here and one of the big takeaways. What to work on is just to continue educating students, parents, and safety about technology, safe apps, those kind of things on what to use. continue to build positive relationships. I think that's one of the end goals always, is positive relationships with people, and continue to strive to provide a safe environment for students and staff that it's conducive to learning. Obviously, that's the Pewaukee way. We want to make sure everyone's safe and feels safe coming to school, and I want to continue to work on that. My trainings and review, I attended the legal updates for the county and for the state. I was involved in some of the CISO conferences, and then that was on top of my negotiator training, one of our trained negotiators for the SWAT team, so I was attending those as well. If you guys all look, you should have the record list. I took 145 calls for service from January to June, varying from extra patrols, parking concerns, and kind of, you guess, that doesn't include all the walk-arounds I did with the schools or various other activities that I participated in. These are just the ones that kind of made the list. Any questions? Go ahead.
My question on the data that you provided us.
Sure.
Are those requests for service, do they come through via a 911?
No, they're
Or they
not
just
all
get-
911. Some of them are, but a lot of them are self-call out. The 911 open lines have come straight through our dispatch center, but a lot of them are self-generated calls that I would respond to from a text from the principals or staff, and I'd respond to them. Or they would be self-induced, like all of our school checks are just extra patrols that I do up here and that kind of thing. Go ahead.
For next year, are we planning on doing more of the internet safety, and is Julie going to be involved with that?
Next year, actually, Officer Bunhagen will be back up as the SRO in the fall. She'll
Okay.
be coming back up to the school. As far as what she has planned for the internet safety, she might have more planned. I'm not 100% sure, so I can't answer that.
Okay. I guess, Mike, that would be one of my concerns, is that we start really doing more and more of that. Because I think it's something that, unfortunately, Julie's a great resource for that. And I think we really need to get that out there, just how good she is, and that parents should really take advantage
I
of the
agree.
knowledge that she has.
Yep. It's very important. Thank you, Ann.
Another question.
Larry?
Do you have any other kind of recommendations in terms of the program itself? Because this was our third year? Or second?
Third year.
Third.
Third year, so, again, we've continued to evolve, continue to improve. Anything that you would bring forward as ways that we could improve the school resource officer, and I refer to it as a program.
Sure.
Not necessarily you as the officer per se, but to the program.
That inclusion of the internet security, I think it's a big one. It's not going away. It's just going to increase. We know more and more people are getting connected. Students are getting connected at younger ages. So just that, some implementation of a safety talk, I think would be very, very beneficial and something I'd like to see come into this program.
Can I follow up on that one? Because one of the things which I think is out there is that kids probably still have somewhat of don't tell my parents or don't tell anyone else. How can we have them open up more? And I always refer to it as if you see something, say something kind of stuff. So they know that their friends, or they may be seeing something on the internet. How can we get them to see something, say something kind of a scenario?
Sure, there's the Step Up and Speak Out that kind of goes on now, and we've had a couple of things like that towards the end of the school year, I know we went to, so I don't know if it's just building more of that and instilling the confidence that if you say something, an action will be taken on it. I don't know the best way to implement that to students, but I think it just needs to be reaffirmed and hit a little harder that yes, if you say something, it will be taken seriously and it will be investigated. So I don't know the exact avenue on how to field that.
When I kind of comment on that, Larry, that was one of many motivating factors in starting the SRO program, is because there's another adult, there's an opportunity for students to get to know and develop a relationship with the police officer, because they interact with them on a daily basis, get to see them as human beings. And that's one of the things that comes out of a good SRO program, is you have more likelihood that if a student has a concern, if there's not another adult they go to, maybe they share that concern with the school resource officers. So that's just one of many advantages of having this program in place.
Any more questions or comments?
Go ahead, Larry.
No, I have nothing, no.
I just want to thank you again, Steve. You jumped in kind of mid-year for Julie and just, I remember your first couple of days. And you did have, it was trial by fire. Brian Sniff is kind of chuckling over there. You had your hands full right away with some of those mental health pieces and some of the things that that you get involved in, and you did a great job. I know Julie's going to be coming back in that role, but you've done just an awesome job coming in and filling in for her.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you too. I think I was one of the ones that were kind of pushing for an SRO up here, and I hope it gave you a new perspective on children and
It did.
how they
It really did.
think. And on the flip side, I think the SRO programs gives children a new respect for the police up here too, because they see them as a friend. They're not just out there to get them, they're their friend. And that's always the thoughts that we want to instill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Very much.
Next, we have the Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance contract for the 21-22 school year, consideration and possible approval.
Yeah, so SWSA is an organization we've been a member of for many years. I don't know, Larry, maybe you have the history, or Brian, or somebody else, but this is just our annual renewal as a part of that organization. Larry's on the executive board, and I believe, 34 school districts?
Yeah, 33.
That are members of SWSA. So this has been a very helpful organization for really advocating for our school districts. We connect a lot with our representatives and state senators and DPI, and there's lots of access and support that we get in collaboration with other districts for being a part of this. So this is our annual agreement that you have in your packet. I would take any questions you have, otherwise I would seek renewal of our membership with SWSA.
I just have a couple of additional comments, Mike. One of the things about this organization is that it's represented by superintendents from their respective school districts as well as a board member. So it's board members and superintendents coming together, and it's what makes us strong. We also have very, very strong partnerships with the School Administrators Alliance. We also have a partnership with the Wisconsin Association of School Boards and Rural School Alliance. I mean, what we're there for is to really advocate on behalf of the, again, children in the southeastern Wisconsin, and make sure that we get adequate and sustainable funding to be able to continue to do the programs that we need to do in order to serve it's like the 33 school districts, but they happen to be, Milwaukee's large, Racine is large, Kenosha is large. We have a large representation of almost 250,000 kids in the southeastern Wisconsin area. So we have a really big, strong purpose and mission out there. And it's something that I've been involved in for a long time. I'm just wrapping up my term as the co-chair of the organization. And so again, I've had a very, very strong involvement with that. We've had different opportunities to do legislative educational sessions in Madison at one of the hotels there, where we get an opportunity to talk with other legislative folks around the state and participate in some online or some education and learning with these other organizations about what the needs of the school districts are and how do we get adequate and sustainable funding. So, and I would move to approve the opportunity for us to continue. The rate has not changed for about 4 years, I don't think, and it's only gone up once in the 15 or so years, or 15 more years that we've had the membership there. So it's move to approve. Okay, thanks.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and approved that we approve the Southwestern School Alliance contract for the 21-22 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel issues.
Oh, we forgot one.
Whoops.
Standards adoption.
I'm sorry, standards adoption. You've heard us speak about the standards when we talked about the social studies. We've got standards for every subject that we teach, and every year we go through and we look at where our standards are and what they look like, and we have to approve them. So Danielle?
Yeah, so this is just state statute requires us to annually approve the standards that the board has already taken action on through the curriculum process, like we recently saw with music and social studies this spring. And so it just gets posted out on the website, which standards we're still using, and we double check that all the links are currently working, and so there's no internet breaks on those, and so I would seek your approval to continue with the standards that have already been previously approved by the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now to personnel.
Now personnel. Resignations.
We have one resignation at this time. We've had a teacher who's served us very well, who's looking to do some other things with her life, and Katie Rumor, who's been a fantastic teacher for us at Pewaukee Lake Elementary. So with some sadness, I would seek your approval of Ms. Rumor's resignation.
I'd like to move to approve, to reluctantly accept her resignation, because again, she's been a great teacher. So move to accept her resignation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We have some employments. We're going to take the administration first. We have a recommendation to hire Lindsay Chandelia.
Chandelia, am I saying that right,
Chandelia?
Pete? Chandelia?
It's Chandelia.
Chandelia, all right,
Okay.
better get that right. Lindsay Chandelia. So, and Pete's here, he could answer any questions that you have. She is our recommendation for hire as the new associate principal at Horizon Elementary. I was really impressed with her when Pete and I sat down with her after a really extensive and involved hiring process. And I think her background as a behavioral specialist and a coach and her experience is something that's going to bring really good value to Horizon Elementary. So we take any questions that you have. Again, Pete could answer some questions if you have them. Otherwise, we would seek your approval of Lindsay, God, I'm going to mess it up again, Chandelia, I got it, as our new associate principal at Horizon.
I would not have a question, but I think it's an amazing reflection on the strength of our district that we had 180 candidates apply for this role. So congratulations, all of you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep. May I seek a motion for her hiring?
Move to approve the hiring of Lindsay Chandelia as associate principal.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of hiring Lindsay Chandelia, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried, 7-0. And we have several teachers that we are looking to hire. Alicia Montez, Leah Nickelbein, Jessica Rybeck, and Tricia Berg.
Right, and I think you could take these in one motion. So Alicia, a business ed teacher at Pewaukee High School. Leah Nickelbein, a half-time speech pathologist at PLE. That's an added position, as was the business teacher position at the high school for expanding caseloads and enrollment. Jessica Rybeck, our first educational interpreter at Asa Clark Middle School. And Tricia, I'm not sure if it's Berg or Bergie. Pete, is it Bergie? Bergie. Tricia Bergie as our new special ed teacher at Horizon.
I seek a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Passed. They are all new hirees of our district.
And all new hirees. And we have no leaves at this time.
Okay. Board goals and operations, review of upcoming activities. Our next meeting, our only meeting for July is Monday, July 12th. Remember, that was a change in date. There's going to be a business affairs committee at 6 o'clock. There is no policy committee that night. And there will be a regular meeting at 7 o'clock. Then Monday, August 9th, we have our annual meeting. 6 o'clock is a business affairs committee. 6:30 is our regular meeting. 7 o'clock will be the budget meeting. And 7:30 will be the annual meeting. And then for board members, we have our back-to-school welcome on August 23rd, thinking ahead.
It is July this week already.
It is
So,
July this week already. Okay, are there any legislative advocacy updates?
You know, John and I have engaged somewhat with this. Again, it's really work around the biennium budget that's happening at the state level. SWSA has been a big part of this as well. As we've, really Adam Nalen's been the one we've had the most conversation with. Senator Kapinga, we've reached out and had some communication with his office as well, just to talk about some of the proposals and making sure that we are a resource and they understand how the recommendations would impact the Pewaukee School District. So I acknowledge John for the good job he's done, really because he has that budgetary side of things in terms of his ability to engage with those leaders. So that's really what we've been most active with recently with legislative advocacy.
Does anyone have anything to add to that? Okay, we're just about done. We'll go back to our citizen comments. Start with Brian Belt. Right behind Brian is Kelly.
Thank you. Brian Belt, I'm at 377 Park Avenue. I want to say I want to appreciate the transparency over the last few weeks and you guys allowing us to come in, talk to you guys, learn about the curriculum, make sure that we're comfortable with it. That's all we're doing. So having that transparency is great. I appreciate you, Stacy, for bringing up, hey, what are we going to do when we do have a rogue teacher? Yes, you need us as parents to bring that up and say, hey, they're telling us this, they're telling us that. They're bringing these things up that are off curriculum. That's on us as parents to make sure that our students are telling us that and then bringing that back to you. But then when that comes back to you, I think we need to make sure that there's a policy in place on how that's going to be addressed. What's going to happen to those teachers that maybe you can't bring back? The ones that are too rogue, the ones that are always going to make those comments whether you ask or not. There is a petition going around all over the country that teachers have signed saying they don't care what laws are passed, they are going to teach what they want. There's a teacher in there is a teacher that lives in Pewaukee. It's not a Pewaukee teacher that has signed on to that petition. So we need to make sure that those things are happening. Concerning bullies, I've been at these board meetings for the last handful of board meetings. Us that have been talking, voicing our opinions over the course of the last month and a half, I didn't see any bullying. What I look at, that's constructive concern, that's dialogue. We have all stayed very, very calm, talking to you, asking for your questions, giving you our opinions, talking to you about data. Conspiracies, little concerned about conspiracies. Let's just look back over the last 14 months. Things that were conspiracies 14 months ago now are true. So let's be careful when we look at something and just pawn it off because it's conspiracy, because it may spin around about 3, 4, 8 months later, not a conspiracy anymore. All right? I have never been called a bigot in my life. I am not one. I have never called someone a bigot. The fact that people in this room are looking at us as bigots because we're concerned about our children and concerned about what's being taught makes me sick. It's very, it's very concerning that we have people in this district that are bullying us and calling us the bullies when we're just here trying to make sure that our kids are getting a good education. And equity, let's make sure we know what the word is. Before about a year ago, the word equity didn't exist. It was equality. It was always everybody gets the same opportunities. Everybody gets the same options. Equity is not equality. Equity is, doesn't matter what happens, everybody gets the same. That's socialism.
Thank you, Brian.
Kelly Belt? And after Kelly is Charla.
My husband stole my thunder a little bit. Kelly Belt. Just a follow-up on, God, I believe your name was Crystal, but my uneducated CPA mind that's not real good with details doesn't quite remember. I think it was Crystal, though. Parents that have been coming to the last 4 or 5 board meetings have simply just wanted the best for our children, and I think the school board members see that. I saw no parent yelling. I saw no parent bullying. I saw no parent being unreasonable in any requests. They simply want to know what our kids are being taught. They had concerns over the mask mandates and COVID protocols, and they had every right to come here and express those concerns. And we did so very professionally and reasonably. Where the disrespect came from, Crystal, if you were at these meetings, you would have seen where the disrespect actually came from was from the board to the parents. We had board members yelling at us. Larry Dux yelled at us a few times, Brian Kamers yelled at us a few times, and Jeannie yelled at us a few times. And that's the leadership of our board. That's the president, the clerk, and the vice president. They have yet to apologize to us, particularly Jeannie. They have yet to apologize. We come here out of pure concern, and we have the board members yelling at us.
Charla's up next. And then after Charla, I have Julia Westfall.
Good evening.
Hi, Charla.
I had a really great conversation with Daniela and Dr. Katie on Friday in regards to TCI. I went in there with definitely negative thoughts, and I left there feeling much more positive. But tonight, I definitely am okay with everything, and I do think as a parent is my responsibility to watch what my kids are learning. But I'm here tonight because I don't feel I bullied anybody here. I'm here so that every kid has the right. I've never wanted any kids, excluded from anything. All kids have the right. This is something that I talked to Danielle about and to Dr. Katie about. Pewaukee used to be this small, tight community where everybody knew everybody. You went to football games and homecoming parades and pep rallies and parades and all sorts of things. And we've kind of lost sight of that somewhere. I definitely think that COVID put it on an end. But like I had said to Dr. Katie, I'm hoping that this coming school year, we get back into the fact that everyone needs to be included. I don't care your sexual orientation. I don't care your politics views. I don't care about any of that. All I want is a safe environment for my child to go to school and to feel like she belongs. Every kid should belong, and that's all I want. Thank you.
After Julia, I have Crystal.
Okay, I'm going to be real quick here. I just wanted to say, so that it's on the record, that a lot of you who have spoken said, hey, we haven't bullied, we haven't this, 100% believe you, not calling anybody out, but I do know that there has been some very threatening behaviors that have gone on, and may not have been from you, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. People have been followed home, and in fact, I just heard somebody make the announcement that she was going to follow Crystal home. So the intimidation and the aggressive behavior needs to stop. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are people who you have known for a long time, including the people on the board, including Dr. Katie. Let's go back to treating each other. You can have different opinions, you can have different views, and you can do it without trying to send intimidating emails to people, following people home, or doing anything that would make anybody feel uncomfortable. You wouldn't want that for yourself, you wouldn't want that for your child, your spouse, or anybody else, so don't do it to another person.
Crystal is Kate Burke.
Hello again. I just want to clarify, I was not referring to anybody here. Everybody here tonight has actually been pretty respectful. I was responding, except for the person talking over me right now, that's not real respectful. I was responding to what I have seen and heard was going on at these meetings the last few weeks, which was beyond disrespectful. The threatening behavior, everything that Julia just mentioned, that is what I was responding to. That got me all riled up, obviously, and I needed to come rebut that. It was unfortunate that I went after a few people that were respectful this time, but I wasn't referring to you. I was referring to people from the last few meetings. They know who they are. I appreciate everybody tonight, again, except for her, being respectful. And to clarify one more thing, when I say uneducated, I don't mean a literal education. I understand not everybody has the privilege of being able to go to college, and college isn't for everybody, and all of that. I don't mean that. I mean educate yourself about the issues. And yes, let's just all be respectful.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kate Burke, and I just wanted to again say thank you to the board for passing the social studies curriculum that Danielle and her entire team worked so hard on for many years. I would like to suggest that we have in this district award-winning professional educators. I'm not really aware of a rogue teacher, but I am aware of award-winning professional educators. I think it might be a little far to suggest we have rogue teachers here in our district, or that they might come out of the woodwork. I do agree that if a teacher is making students uncomfortable, then it would be great to have policy in place that is enforced so that the chain of command can be followed. I appreciate that. I also want to say that I really want my children to be able to compete in a global economy, which means I want them to understand what a global economy looks like. I want them to be exposed to diversity of all kinds, race, gender, economics, and different abilities. I want them to be included in an atmosphere where everyone feels safe, where they can say their opinion, whether it is different or whether it is the same, and they can be valued. And I want equity in our schools as well. I do not feel threatened if my child is exposed to viewpoints that differ from mine. In fact, I believe that is how people learn the best, when they come to question things with an open mind and take a look at different perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
We have Michael Maynard and then Stan Zakalowski. Said it right the first time.
Michael Maynard. I guess I'll be the first one to apologize because a few meetings ago, I actually went off on Jeannie and asked her to resign, and probably wasn't becoming of me. So if I expect them to apologize to us, I'll do the same here. I apologize for that, which I've already apologized to her once, but for all of you to hear.
And I apologize to Mr. Maynard too, by the way.
So, with that being said, I think that all of us here want to see our kids have a safe environment, to be accepting of all, to learn different viewpoints, to understand things that they may or may not go through. So recently, Dr. Katie had made available to his administration a book list to read. So we started a book club. I got this one. Speaking of being inclusive, this book is not. This book told me that I was a racist. Who knew? But I'm not here to hammer on that. My point to that is, if we are going to be inclusive and we're going to want people to read this, which I think they should if you want to be fully educated on what people are thinking all the way around, I don't think it's a bad idea to read these books. But then we can also read books like this. Opportunity Knocks from Senator Tim Scott that will give you a view of a black man that grew up in poverty and let you know how if you take advantage of things that we offer, equality and so on and so forth, that you too can make it in this society. And just because you are of a certain color of skin, a certain sexuality, whatever the case may be, doesn't make you a lesser person. We are all accepting of everybody. And books like this don't believe that. Quite honestly, in the first 5 pages, it told me I had no defense for my racism because I'm white, and I'm a white male. And a 2-term black president, doesn't matter, he gave up some of his blackness to get there. So just so you know, please, if you're going to read this, read books like this as well, if you really truly want to engage in society and have good conversation, no matter what your ideology is and how you view it. To close, we also met with Danielle and Dr. Katie, my wife and I did. We had 0 issue with the curriculum. I was going to speak earlier, but I knew it was going to pass, and there was no reason for it not to pass. But I will follow up with Mrs. Burt, I believe. I do believe that it's important that if our kids feel uncomfortable with a teacher or a situation, that we have to have an outlet for them to express that, and there needs to be a consequence to a teacher that goes off on their own and teaches off of their own agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Stan Sekulowski, and I'm back. I did write down this whole stuff, and I got a little out of control a little bit earlier. I mean, I was very succinct. It sounded like it was really good, but the idea is I skipped around a little bit. I did want to come back to a couple different things. We came from a different school district. We moved up here 2 years ago. So we're still learning protocol, what's the right way to go about addressing things and things of that nature. And trust me, after these last couple months, we'll be on it. We're going to be more engaged and kind of watching what's going on. And if we start seeing things that make us uncomfortable, we know the right, proper chain of command to do that. I'm not here to say that we have rogue teachers that are going off and teaching our kids all these really bad things. I want that to be clear. Every teacher I've met here in this district so far, I've had a great experience. They've been wonderful teachers. They've been extremely supportive, and they've really helped foster my children's education. I am not complaining about that by any means, and I want you all to understand that. What I'm coming up and talking about is why we all are different. And Katie and I, we talked about this before. We have people on different viewpoints. Whatever happened to be able to teach both sides of the conversation and have a good debate and be able to still go, you know what? You have your viewpoint, you have your viewpoint. You know, we can agree to disagree, and it's okay. And right now, it doesn't feel like it's okay to disagree. And there's wars going on. There's divisions, and the divisions keep on getting worse. That's why I keep coming up here and pounding on let's find ways to not check boxes and find ways where we're common. And we're all similar, and I'll still say this to this day, we're all Pewaukee Pirates, and we're here for a reason. One of the things that has happened, and it's happened again, I'll just say Act 10, we just had an election. Our teachers are great, but you know what? They're human. Okay? While we had a great social studies teacher who was here last week, and he can sit up here and tell us his students don't know which side of the aisle he's on up until even after he's done with their class, that's great. I'd love to have every social studies teacher or every teacher be able to do that. But we're all human. And just know that when you're talking about something like Act 10, or you're talking about an election, it's emotional. It gets down to the heart of things, and we wear our stuff on our sleeves. And that's where I know it's a big challenge to ask our teachers, but even in that scenario, we really need our teachers to be objective. It's not to say they're not great teachers, because they are great teachers. I just want that to be clear for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you. We need to go into a closed session now. So I'm going.
Jeannie, can I just?
Sure.
Closed session, just in case anybody's wondering what that's all about. This is standard. You know, when you have, there's certain things and there's a statute that's referenced, has to be referenced. There's only certain things by law that you can enter a closed session into. And so this is a human resources discussion that the board can have in closed session. So that's the purpose. If you look on the agenda from a year ago, you'd have seen the same closed session. This is an annual piece, just so you understand. We'll once we move into it, we go down the hallway into a closed classroom, to have those discussions. I just wanted people to understand what the purpose of that is. Go ahead, Jean.
Okay. I need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of, in accordance with the Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, Paren 1, Paren C, Administrator and Confidential Support Staff Evaluation and Compensation and Discussion, and potential action concerning the performance and evaluation data, individual contracts, and salaries of individual employees and custodians, food, services, paraprofessional secretaries pursuant to Wisconsin Stats 19.85, Paren 1, Paren C.
So moved. Second.
I need to take a roll call
Yeah,
vote.
roll call vote.
Roll call vote on that one. Ann?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Daisha?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
And yes for me. So as passed, we will go into closed session.
Okay, yeah. Jackie will be here, but I won't. Okay, thanks.
I was very cold. Oh my gosh.
We don't need another motion, do we?
No, I think we just explained that. We took a motion and approved a motion by roll call vote to adjourn the closed session and move back into open session. That motion was passed in closed session.
Okay. So we are now in open session. Do I have a motion on our discussions?
Do you want me to make it, Larry?
Sure, get your best.
Move to approve the salary actions for administrative and confidential staff, custodians, food service, and paraprofessionals as presented.
And secretaries.
And secretaries, thank you, I missed that one. And secretaries as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Move to approve the bonus for the 6 administrative positions presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's also passed. Thank you, Steve and Stacy.
One more.
Yeah, one more.
Yep.
Move to modify the compensation model for nursing staff as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 7-0. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We are adjourned at 9:39.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Good night,
Good evening.
Brian.
Bye, Brian.
Good night, good night, good night.